Welcome to Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan online classes. Today we are doing class 12th biology, chapter number 2, sexual reproduction in flowering plant. This is the sixth session of possible 7 sessions. Topic for discussion is post-fertilization events and structures. We'll talk about endosperm, its development and its importance. We'll talk about the embryo, both monocot and dicot in this session. I welcome all of you to see all the different sessions to get a complete grasp on the entire chapter. At the beginning, let us find out what are the things we are going to learn from this chapter, from this particular session. We'll describe the post-fertilization structure and event, understand and describe the development of endosperm, draw and describe the structure of monocot embryo, draw and describe the structure of dicot embryo. As student of biology, you are well versed with the terms and anatomy of flower. You know what are the different parts called and even about pollen grains. So this information will help you to understand this topic in a better way. This is a wonderful flower, and this flower is so unique that I clicked at very high altitude at Nathula Pass in Sikkim. Flowers are always a joy forever. Let us talk about the post-fertilization structures and events. After double fertilization, event of endosperm and embryo development, maturation of ovules into seeds and ovary into fruit, these are collectively called as post-fertilization event. The endosperm development takes place prior to embryo development. Naturally, there should be a question in the mind why it has to happen. You understand that the endosperm is a nutritive tissue for the embryo. So endosperm development takes place prior to embryo development so that prepared food is ready to support the development of the embryo. The primary endosperm cell divides repeatedly and forms a triploid endosperm tissue. Now, based on the previous session's discussion, your concept about triple fusion should be very clear. During the process of fertilization, double fertilization, the second male gamete fuse with the two nucleus of the polar cell, and as a result, the three nuclei fuse together to form a triploid first cell. You call it PEC for primary endosperm cell, and the nucleus is called PEN for a primary endosperm nucleus. PEC and PEN. The cells of this tissue are filled with reserve food material and are used for nutrition of the developing embryo. The most common type of endosperm development is the pen, where undergoes successive nuclear division to give rise to free nuclei. I'll explain this a little bit. Whenever cell division takes place, it involves karyokinesis followed by cytokinesis. In case of endosperm development, you imagine there is a cell, you imagine there is a nucleus. Now this nucleus undergoes repeated division. So lot of nuclear division will take place. This condition is called as free nuclei condition. Later on what happens? Cytoplasm aggregation and cell wall formation will take place, resulting in cell production. You call it cellularization. So initially there is development of free nuclei endosperm followed by cellular endosperm. This stage of endosperm development is called free nuclei endosperm. Subsequently the cell wall formation occur and the endosperm become cellular. Now what is the number of free nuclei? That varies greatly from plant to plant. Let us take a definite example of coconut. I think every one of you have taken coconut water when it was immature. The coconut water from tender coconut is nothing else but free nuclear endosperm. It is made up of thousands of nuclei. And the surrounding white kernel is cellular endosperm. So as the coconut mature, you have seen that the white kernel that is present all around it, it becomes thickened and more thickened. Why? Because the free nuclei now aggregates to form cells and cellular endosperm is formed. This is nothing else but a seed sowing endosperm. You can see the location of the endosperm in the seed. But this will click another very interesting thing, that whether this seed should continue and carry on with the endosperm, or the endosperm should be exhausted during the production of the embryo. Generally, endosperm may be completely consumed by the developing embryo before seed become mature, or it may persist in the mature seed to be used during seed germination. Once the seed will germinate, the embryo is there, the endosperm in some seeds still remain persistent. So as the seed will germinate, the embryo still require a lot of nutrition that will be provided by the endosperm. So depending on the utilization of endosperm, there are two different types of seeds, albuminous seed and ex-albuminous seed. The albuminous seed is also called as endospermous seed. Ex-albuminous seed is also called as non-endospermous seed. Albuminous seed, as the name signifies, that the endosperm provide nutrition to the developing embryo but remain even during the germination of the seed in this type. Means the seed continues with some amount of endosperm in the mature seed. Like in case of castor, in case of coconut, the coconut seed that contains a lot of endosperm even when the seed will mature. Ex-albuminous seed. This type of seed utilizes the endosperm completely. So once the seed becomes mature, no more endosperm is left. Thus, these seeds are non-endospermic in nature. Pea, groundnut, beans are very good example of this. Back at your dining table, whenever you are eating food, you are taking different type of seeds. Remember, most of the cereal crops that you are taking, the maize, the rice, the wheat, they are all non-endospermous. They are endospermous. Whereas the pulse that you take, they are ex-albuminous. That's non-endospermous. The embryo. The embryo develops after fertilization. A diploid zygote is developed as a result of the union of male and female gamete. It is also called as a fertilized egg. The zygote remains in resting stage for some time, maybe few hours, days, or even months. That is, initially there is endosperm production. The zygote production into embryo will wait for some time. Sometimes it can be few hours, days, or even months before the embryo production will take place. Question is, why this resting phase? This resting phase is for the endosperm to develop, so that when the embryo will develop, they will get requisite amount of nutrition. After the resting phase, the zygote cell undergoes a transverse division to form a two-cell proembryo. The proembryo then undergoes successive cell division at different planes to form embryo. Let us try to understand this in a better way. The embryo development, where does it take place? By fertilization of the first male nucleus with the egg cell. And you remember that happens when it enters through the synergy, it goes to the egg cell, at the egg apparatus, the things are happening. So it's towards the micropylar end of the embryo sac where the zygote is situated. Most zygote divides only after a certain amount of endosperm is formed. This is an adaptation to provide assured nutrition to the developing embryo. And you can see that in previous session also we had discussed that the zygote develops into embryo through successive stages of development. Initially it is the globular embryo, followed by the Hertzsprung embryo, and finally it is the mature embryo. Let us understand this development with the help of a diagram. In diagram number A, you can find that it is nothing else but an embryo sac. You can see at the end there is degenerating antipodal cells. Just the opposite pole, you find degenerating synergid, and then you find the zygote. 2n is nothing else but the zygote. And in the center, you find the primary endosperm cell, in which the nucleus that is present, it is called as primary endosperm nucleus. It is for you to remember that during fertilization, the egg cell and the polar nuclei, they are fertilized. So 2 times fertilization, that is how the concept of double fertilization occurs. And inside the endosperm, because there were 2 nuclei inside the cell, followed by the second male gamete, so 3 nucleus fuse, so that is why triple fusion will occur. But here we are discussing the development of the embryo. Embryo initially is in the form of zygote, that is diploid. Now what happens? This one cell actually divides into 2 cells. You can see the first large cell in diagram number B. It is quite a big cell. It is called as the hypobasal cell. And the smaller cell that is formed at the base, it is called the epibasal cell. This epibasal cell will divide into 2. And then plane of division is horizontal. Next, second division will take place. The first cell of the epibasal cell, it divides again horizontally, producing 2 more cells, and the second cell at the base, transversely it divides, producing 2 more cells. So 4 cells are formed. Then again the first 2 cells undergo 2 more division transversely, horizontally, resulting in 4 cells, and at the base 2 cells which were there, they will also have horizontal division, resulting in a mass of 4 cells. Again, the chain of 4 cells undergoes again division horizontally to produce 8 cells, and these 8 cells, they are called as suspensor. What is the role of suspensor and what is the role of hypobasal cell, that is the large cell? Because the hypobasal cell was formed from the zygote by first time division and then stop division. That is basically for encourage. Suspensor, it pushed the embryos inside the endosperm, so that is why it has got its significance. But then what happens to the lump of cell that is formed, 8 cell that is formed at the base, that undergoes more and more division. So a mass of cells are formed, produce a globular structure. That is how this stage is called as the globular embryo. But then with more and more division of the globular embryo, differentiation will occur, and then 2 ends of the globular endosperm will continue to grow, and it looks more like a heart. That is how it got the typical name heart-shaped embryo. You can find the hypobasal cell at the tip with suspensor, and then the shape of the embryo that has taken the form of heart. But the division do not stop here. More division will take place and more differentiation will take place, as a result of which the 2 ends of the heart, the lower end, that continues to grow and it moves up. You can see diagram number D. In this case, the 2 things which grows up, they form the future cotyledon. They form the future cotyledon. And this cotyledon, between the 2 cotyledon, you can find that there is one plumule and there is a radical at the end. So this is where there is presence of an embryo. There is production of embryo. So 2 cotyledons with the plumule will develop into the shoot, the radical will develop into the root, in between the embryo is there. This is regarded as a mature embryo. Let us have some discussion about a typical dicot embryo. You can see a typical dicot embryo consists of an embryonal axis. What is this embryonal axis? The embryonal axis, it has got the point of connection of the cotyledon with the embryo, that is the embryonal axis. The portion of embryonal axis above the level of cotyledon is called as epicotyle, which terminates with the plumule, that is the top part, or the stem tip. The cylindrical portion below the level of cotyledon is hypocotyle. Hypocotyle is at the lower end of the radical, or it forms the root tip. Another interesting thing you can see in the diagram, there is a lower part that forms a cap, that is the root cap, and in hydrophytes you call them the root sheath. Let us have a discussion about the embryo of a monocot. The embryo of monocot possesses only one cotyledon. In grass, the family of cotyledon is called scutellum. You can see in the diagram the level scutellum is mentioned. It is towards one side, that is the lateral side of the embryonal axis. So in case of monocot, the cotyledon is designated as scutellum. At the lower end of the embryonal axis has a radicle and root cap enclosed in an undifferentiated sheath called as coryza. You can see in the diagram the lower part, the radicle and the root cap, it is covered in an undifferentiated sheath. Sheath means a cover. You call them coryza. And portion of embryonal axis above the level of attachment of scutellum is the epicotyle. We know that the embryonal axis, the part above embryonal axis is called as epicotyle, below it is called as hypocotyle. The epicotyle has shoot apex and it has got a few leaf primordia enclosed in the hollow foliar structure, the coleoptile. Now, foliar, this term means foliage is to leaf. So, some hollow foliar structures are present. So, it is basically fleshy in nature and you call it coleoptile. Once the embryo and the cotyledon are formed, they result in the production of seed obviously. The seed is the final product of sexual reproduction. It is often described as a fertilized ovule. The seeds are formed inside the fruits. We already know that whenever you cut a fruit, you will see seeds are present inside. A typical seed consists of seed coat, it has cotyledons and an embryonal axis. The cotyledon of the embryo are simple structure. They are generally thick, swollen due to storage of the food reserves, like in case of legumes. With this, you complete session number 6. Let us recapitulate what we have discussed. It is just to refresh your memory that post-fertilization structure event, what are these? After double fertilization, the event of embryo, endosperm development, maturation of the ovule into seed and ovary into fruit. These are together called as the post-fertilization event. The endosperm development takes place prior to the embryo development. The primary endosperm cell divides repeatedly and forms a triploid endosperm tissue. Now you can see the diagram of a typical dicot and monocot embryo. Just to refresh back your memories, you can see that dicot there are two cotyledons, whereas in case of monocot only one cotyledon, which is called as scutellum, is present. You can see the epicotyle part, the portion above the embryonal axis, and hypocotyle part, the portion below the embryonal axis, both in case of monocot as well as dicot. And the root cap is obviously there. But in this case, you find the presence of coleoptile and there is cover at the of the radicle and the root cap, you call it coryza. You are expected to practice this diagram and draw diagram and label it properly. Let us assess whatever we have discussed, whether you have understood it or not. Try to answer this question. What is the ploidy of PEN? What is the full form of PEC and PEN? What is coconut water with reference to endosperm? In the grass family, the cotyledon is called gas. What is epicotyle? If you have answered it, try to match your answer with the solutions which are given. But it will be good if you try this question back at home. Explain the development of endosperm in angiosperm. Differentiate between albuminous and ex-albuminous seed. Describe a typical dicot embryo using a suitable diagram. Describe a typical monocot embryo using a suitable diagram. What is the significance of endosperm for the embryo? And explain the process of development of embryo using suitable diagram. What are the various phases of development of pro-embryo? You have to define the seed. Write what about the different parts of seed using suitable diagram. I have mentioned certain weblinks and one video link has been given. You are welcome to click on them or copy and paste in the menu to see the video. It will enrich your information base about this topic. In the next topic, we'll discuss about the structure of microsporangium, microsporogenesis, pollen grain, and viability of pollen grain. They are very interesting. Keep watching